Hi, welcome. This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I go live every Monday and Thursday here on YouTube and Facebook, usually with something fun. And today is no different, of course. We're going to do a sort of fun fold. It looks very simple on the outside. And then when we open it up, it's got this pretty pleats on the inside. And we're going to do that two different ways. We're going to use that doing the 12 by 12 paper, and then we're going to do it with 6 by 6 paper. I believe I first saw it, I think it was Susan Campfield. It's one of those things, you see these things all over Pinterest, and I try to remember who I've seen them from, but occasionally you see them so often, or so many things go through that it's hard to keep track of it. But I did not design it. I'm just showing you how to do it. And we have two different ways to go. So I can't wait to show you. So here we are down on my desk. This is the 12 by 12 version. So here I used a 12 by 4-inch piece of paper and then did the pleats in the middle. And then this one uses a 6-inch piece of paper, and it just does the one. And because they're so simple, we get to do both today. So I'm going to start out with the Berry Burst version, since that was what was on my preview. This is the one we're doing. So I'm starting out with a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So scored in half. Piece of Bright and Beautiful Designer Series paper, and this is 6 inches by 4 inches. That's going to be our pleats on the inside. For the outside, I have a piece that is 4-inch by 5 1/4. And then I have for the inside, on the sides, I have two pieces of a bubble bath that will coordinate nicely with the Berry Burst. This is 4 inches by 3 inches. There's two of those. And then I have two that are 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I had a label for the front, which of course, grew legs and walked away on me. Hopefully we'll find it as we move along through this. But I wanted to put a little hello on the front. And so I have cut a banner using the Stylish Shapes dies. Nope, it's definitely over here because it's not over there by the die cutting machine. Oh, here we go. Found it. Okay, so this is just a banner with the Stylish Shapes. Now, I wanted to give this a little bit of extra because we're using a word on there. I can't remember where I got the hello from, but we're going to use thanks, and it's a little smaller than fits on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a blending brush with a little bit of the Berry Burst on there, and we're just going to swirl it just to give a little more interest to this and take up some white space so that it's not too plain. And then we'll be able to stamp our thanks in the middle of that. So this is just one way to give your die cuts a little bit of extra something. And it's a little different than using it with the sponge dauber. With the sponge dauber, what you get is a little more striking, a little more bold. You're able to get a much softer look using the blending brushes, especially when there's not much ink on it. I will say that when you first put the ink on it, you want to make sure you're tapping onto your scrap paper before you go onto your project, because you'll notice there's no harsh lines on this, and that's because I swirled off first before swirling onto my project. Okay, so with this piece, what we're going to want to do is score. So I'll bring in my trimmer, and we're going to score this at 1 1/2, then 3, and then 4 1/2. So it's basically scored every 1 1/2 inch. across the 6 inches. And then we're going to fold this with a valley fold, a mount, and then a valley. So this is going to be our pretty pleat in the middle. Okay, I'm just looking for questions. Thank you to everyone who is entering hashtag prize patrol. I'm so thankful to all of my regulars that remember to throw that in there, because that's how you get entered into the drawing to win today's card, is that you watch live and then you put in hashtag prize patrol, all run together as one word, no spaces. And I have a computer collecting all the names behind the scenes. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to spin the wheel and see who our winner is. If you have questions and I miss them, I apologize. I don't intend to. I kind of look over at the comments every so often and try to pick up on things. But if I miss something, please ask again. It's never my intention to miss it. Okay, I'm going to just do the front of our card, very basic. You guys know how to pretty up the front of a card, so I don't need to go too in-depth there. What you're here to see is the inside of the card. So I'm going to keep my outside simple, but feel free to doll it up as much as you want. I'm also going to do a little bit of stamping here. So I'm going to bring in some Berry Burst ink. I've already stamped all the butterflies because there were quite a few of them to do. There's not a die cut that cuts them out. These are from the Spotlight on Nature stamp set. And the dies that come with this are a fabulous set of circles, but there are no dies that cut these out. So I used my brother's Scan and Cut, which is kind of like a Cricut, but what it does is it scans the image and then it determines where the edges are, and then I'm able to type in there that I want it to have a slight border and ignore object sizes, yada, yada. And it cut everything out for me in one pass through the machine. So saved me a ton of time. I don't use it all the time because if there's just one or two, die cuts definitely are faster. But if you have a lot of something to cut out, or you have things you want to cut out that do not have dies, as long as they have a nice strong edge to them, they work very well on a Brother Scan and Cut. And you can find out more about those by looking on my website at queenbeecreations.net. And then from the homepage, there's a thing called Other Products I Recommend, and it's in there. So you can look that up, or you can email and I'll go into more detail. But several people always ask me about it, so I mention it, but if you want more information, get a hold of me. Okay, so on these larger stamps, I often tend to lay them face up on my table and take the ink pad to the stamp instead of the other way around. It just works for me better on these large objects, especially background stamps. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave that monotone. I'm not going to do any coloring on it. I think it's beautiful just the way it is. And let's see. These are just some little accent pieces. Okay. And then, oh, and my thanks. I knew there was one more. Okay, so see how that's a little word, but putting the color on either end of it kind of fills it in so it doesn't look so lost. Yeah, I was a little shocked there was no dies for them as well. I do love the circles. As a matter of fact, I almost bought the circles without the stamp set because they're so fabulous, but it is what it is. Let's see, where should we start? I always try to get rid of little pieces, so let's narrow this down. Let's see, somebody's asking about my shoulder. Thank you. I had rotator cuff surgery in April and then went through my 20 weeks of physical therapy, and I'm not quite there yet. I still can't lift my arm enough to do a ponytail. And so the doctor is requesting more physical therapy, and for some reason they denied it, and it's going into an appeal process as the doctor tries to argue that I really do need more help. So we're on hold. So if you want to say a little prayer that they approve more physical therapy and that it can do some good, I would appreciate it, because it's actually a little worse than it was before surgery, which is very, very frustrating. They tell me it can take up to a year for it to really go back to normal. Let's hope it's not that long, but he told me I can't panic until it's been a year, and it has to be 6 months before they'll even do any more imaging to see if there's something wrong with it, if something didn't go right. So I'm on a holding pattern. Okay, so I'm just using a little bit of the Stampin' seal, and as you notice, I give a little bit of a check mark at the end. That's to ensure that my tape does break off at the tip up here. That's the trick to getting the seal to work for you, is it snaps off at the tip, and that you keep this area down here very clean, because if this down here gets a lot of goobers on it, it will try to grab the adhesive as it comes across. So snap it near the top and it should work fine for you. I have not had any problems with mine. I had one that kind of curled up on me, and I contacted Stampin' Up. I'm like, I use this stuff all the time. I know all the tricks. It doesn't do this to me. This one's defective. And they did send me a new one. I try not to do that too much because I know it comes back and bites us, because in the end, somebody has to pay for that. But if Stampin' Up! Does indeed send you something defective, they are more than willing to fix it and get you the right product, which is something I love about our company. Okay, so I just took and mounted my white onto the bubble bath, and then I adhered them to either side of my Berry Burst card base, flushed up to the edges, just like this one is. And then I'm going to take my folded piece and I'm going to mount that right here in the middle. So when I do this, I only want adhesive on this part and on this part. And I'm going to do one at a time. Oops. I try to let it hover over before I press down on it, so that I can make sure that all of my edges are as equal as I can get them. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same sort of thing over here. And there we go. So now what you can do is you can take either long strips and sentiments and you can put them on there, or what I chose to do was just hover my butterflies on that middle section. So I'm going to take some mini glue dots and I'm going to put them on half. So I'm keeping them to this side because when I adhere it, I want my wings to hover over the back, and I don't want any adhesive back here. Okay, then I'm going to do the other one in reverse. I'm going to put some glue dots on the back half of the wing. So I'm keeping them to this side. Then I can hover them over and go that direction. So now my butterflies can be seen on both sides. So that's it for card number 1. So pretty simple, right? It looks all fancy when you open it up, but it's actually not as hard as people think it is. So because it's so easy, we get to move on and do another one. So I'm going to bring in the pieces for our 12 by 12 version. So this time I'm using Gorgeous Grape, 4 inches, 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2. Okay, I've got a piece for the front This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. This is the Perennial Lavender Designer Series paper, which will be on sale tomorrow. Tomorrow, Stampin' Up! Is kicking off their annual Designer Series paper sale, where all of the Designer Series papers, the regular ones, not the specialty ones, but our regular Designer Series paper from the annual catalog are all going to be on sale for 15% off. And this Perennial Lavender and the Bright and Beautiful that we used on the other card are both going to be on sale. And you can use your bonus days coupons on that. So if you earned bonus days coupons, tomorrow you can kind of double dip in that you can get the 15% discount and use your coupons. So I'm going to take my strip of a 12-inch by 4-inch Designer Series paper. I'm going to start out at my 3-inch, and I'm going to score. And then I'm going to score every 1 inch after that. So I'm going to have to come over further. So we did 3, 4. Now I'm going to do 5. 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it's basically scored every 1 inch with 3 inches left over on either side. And then, of course, we're going to do the same kind of idea. And then I'm going to start with my first 3-inch. And we're going to make that a valley fold. And when I'm making that, I'm even on the sides over here. I don't want to go askew at all. But we're going to do valley, mountain, until we get all the way over to the other side, so that we end up with this 3-inch section on both sides. Okay. So we have a valley on either side, close to our 3-inch sections. And then we have the 3 mounds in the middle. Okay, so then I'm going to open up this, and instead of having our pieces over here on the sides, I'm going to have this stretch all the way across. So what I want to do is I want to adhere it with the normal 1/4-inch border on either side. So just as if you were mounting a regular layer, you want it to be the same size. So as I lay it down here, I want it even on the 3 sides. And I'm making sure that these are upright and these are upright because it is kind of directional. So I want to make sure I'm not doing one of them upside down. Since I'm talking, I would probably have a tendency to do that. Okay, so then I'm doing the same thing on the other side, kind of hovering over, finding it to where my 3 sides are equal, and then adhering it. Okay. And then I wanted the sentiment over here. So I have a piece of Gorgeous Grape that is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. So this is 2.5 by 3.5. So I just went down by 1/4 inches. Now we have a little bit of stamping to do, and since I'm using some of the same ones, I want to make sure I'm cleaning my stamps in between. So I'm bringing in a piece of my Simply Chamois I could also take it over to the Stampin' Scrub and clean them over there. But I just want to be sure that we have cleaned off all the berry burst before we stick it into our gorgeous grape ink. And I've got a different little splatter for the corners. Oh, and I have embellishments to put on both of them. Okay, for the front, I'm going to use this heartfelt hexagon punch, and it's just the one size shape, but I wanted to be able to have a mat behind it. So how I'm going to achieve that is, hoping I get this straight. Okay. Is I'm going to take the second label that I punched out. These are exactly the same size. And then I'm going to cut this one in half. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and I'm going to set it in here and cut it straight down the middle. So I have two pieces. And then I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive onto the purple, this gorgeous grape, and then I'm going to lay the basic white over the top of it, leaving a little bit hanging over. So if I do that to both of them, it's going to leave me with that border on the top and the bottom and a gap in the back. But since that's in the back, nobody's going to see it. They're just going to see the front. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And then we can go ahead and put that on the front. And then I've got some more butterflies. Again, I said I cut out a whole bunch of them. That's why I used the Brothers Scan and Cut. So the front one I'm going to put on with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And then the inside ones, we're going to do the same way, and then I have them hover over by putting some glue dots on either side. So I'm going to do some on the front. And somebody else will probably come up with a way to make them a little more random. All my years of accounting gets me a little too precise and too much of a pattern, but butterflies are supposed to be random. So if you can find a way to make them very random, that's probably preferable. And then I happen to have one more, so let's go ahead and stick that over on the side. Okay. So there we go. Now we just need a little bit of bling, and they're good to go. So what I'm using is the Cherry Cobbler and Pearl adhesive backed berries, because they came with all of these kind of, I guess they called them pearl colored, but they're basically white, and they didn't stand out enough for me when I was using the green and gold designer series paper. So I chose to use them over here instead, where them being a little more opaque was a good thing. We just want to make sure that when we put them on there, we're using them in odd numbers. There's something about the way that we put embellishments on, that something artistic about odd numbers, being easier on the eye and a little more pleasing. So either 3, 5, 7. And they're just a little subtle extra bling. And this one, I actually used the top of that thing of designer series paper, and I liked that that gave some beige up there. It's the tops of the flowers instead of the middles. So there we go. And there is today's Pretty Pleats card using 6x6 and 12x12 designer series paper. So I hope you enjoy that and that you give these cards a try. Obviously, they are super simple because we're only a half an hour in and we've made 2 cards. Okay, so has everybody put in hashtag prize patrol? Because that's how you get entered into the drawing, because I'm about to pull up the wheel and spin to see who our winner is. So hashtag prize patrol, all run together as one word, no spaces. Checking for any questions. So glad you like them. Please give a thumbs up or share this video with your friends. All of that is very helpful. It helps me get seen. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. Hopefully I'm not missing something. Okay, let's do away with my desk and pull up the prize patrol window. And we'll give this a spin and see who today's winner is. Carol Sue is our winner. Congratulations. That sounds like a new name to me. That's exciting. Thank you for watching and congratulations for winning Prize Patrol. The way that you collect your prize is that you're going to go to my website, queenbeecreations.net, and then up there in the address bar where you typed that in, you're going to add to the end /prize patrol, and that will bring a Google form where you will fill in and claim your prize and give me the address on where you would like your card mailed to. So congratulations. And I am working on Thursday's card and I don't have it finished yet. I've been playing around with a couple different stamp sets. I haven't decided what I'm going to use yet, but we're going to do that wave card. So I don't know if you've seen that yet, but that's what we're going to be doing on Thursday. So I hope you come back and join us. Again, it will be at 2:30 Thursday Mountain Time. So thank you so much and congratulations to Carol Sue. Bye.